Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jen. For those of you who are new here, I live with my husband Michael and our 2-year-old girl Esther, and I'm currently, can't believe I'm even saying this, I'm currently 13 weeks pregnant, nearly 14 weeks pregnant, and we were told, you guys would have seen, that for us to have another baby we'd need to pursue IVF, and this baby was another miracle like Esther. We tried long and hard and tracked our cycle, or my cycle. So I'm going to share with you my ovulation day plus when I got my first positive pregnancy test, and then my line progression from there. And I thought alongside this would be really helpful to have some information around how I definitely at this point now know that I was pregnant, but I was questioning it at the time. I knew pretty much, I want to say 4 DPO that I was pregnant, but we'll jump into why and what that symptom was. First of all, I want to tell you guys we did ovulation tracking. My cycle is usually 23 days to 25 days long, mostly hovers around the 24-day mark, which, because it's a shorter cycle, we were advised to try earlier. So I did my ovulation testing from like day 5 of my cycle, which I found really strange. However, what I came to realize was in that cycle, I didn't actually ovulate until cycle day 15, which, oh well, I didn't get a positive OPK until cycle day 16, which meant I actually ovulated on cycle day 16 or 17. And usually by this time in my cycle, we had kind of thought, you know, that was kind of strange. It was an odd timing. I'm usually an early ovulator from what I thought, from what my tests were telling me. And yeah, so that was fine. Obviously I thought nothing of it. I thought, oh, this is interesting, like I'm going to mention this to my specialist because I feel like this is a late ovulation and you know, doesn't feel right. Little did I know that was going to be our little miracle baby that was coming through. So that was pretty much from cycle day 4. My telltale sign, my holy grail sign that my period is coming, is my sore, tender breasts. And this did not happen to me until I think it was, I got my positive at 8 DPO. I think I got tender breasts maybe like around the same time. So, and they were very, very mild in comparison to what, like, I could have been mistaking it for all I know. So usually I get the tender breasts at literally like straight after ovulation. So as soon as I ovulate, tender breasts the next day. That didn't happen to me this cycle. Got to cycle day, like cycle day 17, so it would have been the day after I ovulated, and there was no tender breast whatsoever. And then I was like, oh, this is interesting, like this cycle's all over the place. And I thought because 2 cycles ago I'd had an IVF cycle that like something maybe was different, like that had messed up my hormones or something, and that was why I was experiencing a totally like whacked out cycle. No tender breasts. The next day come again, cycle day 18, no tender breasts, 19, no tender breasts, and it kept going on like this. Then around the 7 DPO mark, I kind of thought to myself, like, is it, isn't it? Like, it was very, very mild breast pain. Took a pregnancy test, it was negative. And then on cycle, so it was 8 DPO then, I was due for my period and I was having loads of cramping. Definitely felt like it was coming, everything aside from my tender breasts. And that morning we drove to the IVF clinic, and I just burst into tears in the car. And this is on 8 DPO. Burst into tears in the car, and that happened in Esther's pregnancy, and I was like, this could be it. Like, I could be pregnant right now. I knew, like in my heart, in my soul, I knew, but I wasn't letting myself believe it because we were deemed infertile and needed IVF. So I literally went to this IVF consultation, and I sat there and I had this consultation, and the whole entire time I was pregnant and I had no idea. So I came home that night and I was like, me crying in the car was quite weird. Like, I'm an emotional person, but not to that extent. Like, I wouldn't just burst out crying on the way to an appointment. So we come home, I took a pregnancy test, and I thought I seen something so faint, and I showed Michael and he was like, no, like that's not there. And I was like, cool, like it's in my head. Once if you know, you know. Like, if you're in the trying to conceive community, you are turning that test here, there and everywhere trying to find a line. And I was like, okay, went out for dinner for my dad's birthday and come home all in the same day. I sat in the bathroom and I was like, I'll just take another test. I'll just take another test. And I did, and it was like positive. Like, it was pretty much raging at that point. Very faint, but still like a raging positive. So it was not mistaken. I'm going to show you the tests, and then I want to get into why I also think if you're going to do a line progression testing, that timing is absolutely key and important, because through this cycle I thought I was having a miscarriage and I was not, and I got myself so worked up for no reason. However, I do understand that lines do fade if you are also having a miscarriage, but I think that's why I just want to push the timing and you know, make sure that your urine is not diluted by lots of water, because it happened to me. And I just wanted to share that with you. So I will share that throughout my line progression as I show you. So let's jump into that. I tried to get as much sun on the situation as possible, but at 8 DPO, you can see I got the faintest line. 9 DPO got slightly darker, 10 DPO got slightly darker, then 11 and 12 DPO were pretty much the same. And then on 13 DPO, I got a really faint line. I'll insert a photo so you can see when it was fresh. And this line here convinced me that I was not progressing. Given this line here, if you can see, it just is a lot lighter. So convinced me I was not progressing. Waited till the next day, and then I got a super dark line again, followed by my 15 and 16 DPO was when I got my dye stealer. So I really found this to be helpful in just tracking the HCG from home. However, when I did get to this test, I freaked right out. And I will show you the fresh images, but I just want to preface by saying I think first morning urine is 100% a thing, and you should try and go by that if you're going to do line progression, because this freaked me out. But that is the line progression from 8 DPO. I'll show you again. But aside from that, everything's been really good. I obviously had nausea as well, but during that time, that really early on stage, the only 2 signs that told me I was absolutely pregnant before my pregnancy test was a lag in my tender breast. And when they did come, they were nowhere near as sore as what they usually are. And I obviously already tested positive to pregnancy before I got tender breast. So that was my very first tell-all sign. And then second to that was the nausea, which I thought nothing of. Third to that was the bursting into tears on the day I found out I was pregnant in the morning before I knew, but that gave me a really strong inkling. I will sit down and do a more in-depth video about it if anyone is interested. However, I hope that this helps you, and that is my line progression and my story about when I ovulated versus when I fell pregnant this cycle. And yeah, I just want to also say I experienced a lot of cramping in that time. Perhaps I'll sit down and do a day by day how I felt, and let you guys know like what my symptoms were. But that is my line progression, and I hope that this helps someone out there.